This is BackPointsNetwork. We out in Pontiac, hanging out up at Donna's, Coney Island, with the legend, Danny Logan. All right, that's what's up. Now to get started, will you take us back to how you first got started in the sport of wrestling? I mean, like,
it started off as a real little kid. My mom had 8 boys and 4 girls. So everybody, played a role. My older brothers always played a role in different sports. So it wasn't no matter of you weren't gonna play no sports. You was gonna play something in the family. So that's just where it was. So you just had to dedicate yourself somewhere. So deep down, it all started with my parents showing me discipline as a kid. I can remember my first job in the house was taking out the garbage. And 12 kids, and I was the only one that my daddy said, you make sure there's garbage being taken out. But I couldn't understand why he was always pointing to me to do it. But now I realized that day it helped me out.
that's what's up. Now, do you remember, or was you too young? Do you remember your first practice, or when you first got a pair of shoes, or how old were you?
My first time wrestling was in 5th grade, elementary.
Okay.
And like I said, all my other older brothers, they wrestled with the same, school too, but they were older than I was. So we started at Mark Twain School, and that's where it started. It started when I was in the 5th grade.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, when you first started, was you just out cold right away, or did you take some bumps and bruises? Was it you had to build up, or you just had a natural ability?
I had a natural ability. I didn't won the city championship in my 5th grade year. Never lost a match. Got in the 6th, never lost a match. Got in the 7th, never lost a match. Got in the 8th, never got it. But when I got in the 9th grade, I got my butt whooped.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know, but when wrestling coaches in Pontiac talk to their wrestlers about the legacy of Pontiac wrestling, they always encourage the youth wrestlers to be fearless like you. They say that you were fearless. They say you was always ready to get it in. And could you talk about what your mindset was? How did you become that fearless? I mean, before matches, what were you thinking? What was your mindset going into matches?
my match, I think I started off in practice. I always felt like if I had always a good practice, I was going to always have a good match. So I always try to put myself as, ain't nobody can beat me. I didn't want to make no mistakes in practice. It's just like when I stepped on the mat, that was my thing. It didn't matter. I felt like practice was my state championship. So that's the way I went in as being fearless. So that's where I came from. You know what I'm saying? Just my hard workout, my hard effort. I always wanted to be the first one doing the laps. I always wanted to do more push-ups than everybody. I always wanted more when I was practice. So that's where that fearless came from.
That's where it started. That's what's up. Now, I'm going to mention a few wrestlers. I'm going to mention a few wrestlers' names, and I want you to tell me what comes to mind when you hear the name Mike Abrams.
Mike was hard, dedicated wrestler. I mean, he really put the work in, really focused on trying to be a champion. He was just that guy. He was that guy. He set the pattern for the whole team. That's who he was.
That's awesome. Now, when I say David Jackson, what comes to mind?
David Jackson, the reason why I took the state championship. He was my 3 years partners for 3 years. We were partners for 3 years. So he was the reason why we had battles every day. You know what I'm saying? So
he really helped you get ready. Now, when I say Reggie Price, what do you think?
Reggie Price, he was a heavyweight. He was a big guy.
He was a big guy. He was a heavyweight.
Right. So yeah, he was the man on the team. He carried the anchor. He was there. You know what I'm saying? We always, he was like our big brother on the team. So he kept the team together and kept everybody in line.
That's what's up. Now I got 3 more. Tommy Singleton. Have you heard of him before?
I heard of Tommy Singleton. Yeah, he used to come up to our practice, and and show us some moves and stuff. Like one thing about Thomas Singleton is like he was old, but you know he still had it.
That's
You know
what
what I'm
I
saying?
heard. That's
He
what I
still
heard.
had it. He was almost 60 years old and still
Get
taking
it
people
in.
down.
That's
So,
what's up. That's what's up. So when I say Tweet, Marvin McClellan, I think they call him Tweety Bird.
yes, yeah.
What comes to mind?
My Tweety Bird, I think he's the one set my whole pattern. He beat me 3 times my freshman year. So 3 times in a row, and from that point on, you know what I'm saying, hey, I wanted to be, and he was a state champion.
Right, right, okay. So now finally, we recently we interviewed Johnny Johnson. So what can you tell us about Johnny Johnson?
Johnny Johnson, he was smooth. He was smooth about his thing. You know, it seemed like he did everything in slow motion, but he was good. You know what I'm saying? He was quiet. You know, but he just went out and did his thing. You know, so.
That's what's up. And then finally, now, how would you describe your style?
When I first started off in 9th grade, I was a double A man. But by the time I reached my senior year, you know, I built so much strength that I was a bear hug man. You know, my favorite move was a bear hug.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, can you talk about Mr. John Brown? What was it like for you? What kind of impact did he have on you when you was coming up with him as your coach? What kind of influence was he?
He was like a father, you know what I'm saying? He everything was straightforward with John Brown. He was to a point where, you know, he didn't believe in you getting in no trouble, you know, make sure your grades was okay. He really put the effort in just not teaching us wrestling, but to live out here.
That's awesome. Now, God bless the dead. Rest in peace. My understanding is that Coach Miller has transitioned into the spiritual realm. What can you tell us about him? Do you remember Coach Miller?
Yes, Miller was a coach that everybody wanted to have a coach. You know, Miller was a kind of coach that that if you had problems, you can go to Miller. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the type of, it didn't matter what the situation was or what you did. Miller was the type of guy that you can go and talk about any problem you had with him. And that's the kind of, and build you up. Miller, he was the backbone of the team.
That's awesome. So now moving forward, I'm not sure if you know, but recently there's been talk about Detroit public high schools starting to have high school wrestling at all of the public high schools in Detroit. In your opinion, do you think that would be good for the Michigan High School Sports Athletic Association?
I think it will be for kids. I think if I went out and wrestled and tell them where I'd be at today, wrestling made who I am to this day. You know what I'm saying? So kept me out of trouble, kept me away from games and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, can you tell us what was your motivation? Like you said, Tweety Bird gave you the business few years straight. What kept you coming back to practice the next day?
I wanted to be the best. I wanted that. I wanted to be a champion. I can remember my brother took me up to Pontiac Northern. I think I had been in the 6th grade, and it was Coach Wilson at the time, and I, you know, just playing around. He said, "Man, you're gonna be a state champion one day." I didn't believe it at that time, but he just said, "You're gonna be a state champion." So once I got there, that was it. And one thing about our family, the Logan family, everybody wrestled in the family, all 8 boys. But the point is that everybody was reaching for that gun.
That's awesome. Now, your teammate, Johnny Johnson, like I said, we interviewed him about a month ago. And we asked him what was the best match he ever saw. And he said that the best match he ever saw was actually in practice between you and David Jackson. He said that it came a time where I guess you was tired of cutting or something like that. And he said that you told him one day, he said, "Man, I ain't about to be cutting no more. I'm about to challenge him for that spot." Can you tell us about that match? Do you remember that situation? Can you tell us what
I
was that
remember
about?
that that match. Yeah, he beat me. He beat me 1-0.
Okay,
Right,
okay. He
so,
said it was a tight match.
Right, it was 1-0, and he beat me.
That's what's up.
What happened?
Yeah, can you
What
tell us
happened?
what happened?